shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Raleigh crash. Traffic lights are out at an intersection of New Hope Road after this crash. Here's a live look at the scene, what we've learned about the conditions of two people who were involved.
And we have another hot day. We're going to climb into the low to mid 90s this afternoon, but I'll show you when rain arrives to bring us a break.
And focus on public safety. Vice President J.D. Vance will visit North Carolina today. What he's expected to say after state lawmakers passed a sweeping new crime bill. Good morning, everyone. It is 4:30. You're in the right place to get caught up on what you need to know to start your day. I'm Renee Chu. Let's get over to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner for a check on our weather. And once again, it will be a hot one today.
It is going to be a hot one. We have mainly clear skies this morning, and the flag is moving just a little here of the Capitol building as we take a look down Fayetteville Street. 72 this morning. That's a good bit warmer than it was yesterday, and our dew point is much higher. So yesterday felt hot, but not as humid. Today is going to feel full on like summer. It's 69 in Fayetteville and in Rocky Mount, 61 in Roxborough, and 70 in Clinton right now. We take a look at our hour by hour forecast. By lunchtime, temperatures are in the upper 80s, and yesterday our lunchtime temperatures were low 80s. So you're going to notice a significant difference for today. We'll climb to 93 for the afternoon high. Now, starting tomorrow, we get into a better chance for rain, especially late Thursday night. We're going to move into a wet pattern. I'll show you how much rain is headed our way coming up.
And we do need that rain. Elizabeth, thank you. Breaking news. Right now, utility crews are working to fix traffic lights at a Raleigh intersection after a crash. Ali Kalubar is in the WRAL Breaking News Tracker at New Hope Road and Skycrest Drive. Ali, we know two people were hurt in this crash.
And within the past 5 minutes, Renee, we've saw 3 utility crews pull up to the scene to restore power to this intersection. The traffic lights are out. This is Skycrest Drive and New Hope Road. But we can see happening right now is that tow truck crew, they are pulling one of those cars that hit the utility pole right there. They're pulling that, trying to tow it away. We know that 2 cars were involved, 2 people taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Again, 3 utility crews just pulled up here to restore power to this intersection. Right now, it is open, but of course, you want to proceed with caution and slow down and stop before you approach this intersection and pass through it. And so we are going to keep an eye on this. Of course, utility crews working to restore power to this busy intersection before it gets busy for that morning commute. So we're going to keep you updated right here. Reporting live in Raleigh, Ali Kalubar, WRAL News.
Breaking overnight, firefighters, EMS, and deputies were at the scene of a crash in Johnston County this morning. The WRAL Breaking News Tracker captured this video on Mount Pleasant Road just outside Willow Spring. Deputies confirmed that a vehicle and motorcycle were involved. We are trying to learn more about the people involved and what led to the crash. Today, Vice President J.D. Vance is visiting our state. He's expected to focus on public safety as he speaks in Concord, that's near Charlotte. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is live this morning outside the state legislative building. Kelsey, Vance's visit comes one day after state lawmakers there passed sweeping new crime legislation.
Yes, Renee, we're just hours away from Vice President J.D. Vance speaking in Concord, and he's expected to talk about public safety, like how you mentioned. And public safety was a main topic of conversation here at the legislative building for state lawmakers this week. Now, the last time VP Vance was in North Carolina was in December after Hurricane Helene. Today's speech on public safety comes just one day after state lawmakers passed a crime bill. It makes it easier for judges to keep suspects in jail or put them in the hospital if they have a history of criminal behavior or mental illness. The bill was fairly bipartisan until a late amendment aimed at bringing back the death penalty. Right now, lethal injection is the only legal method of execution here in North Carolina, but it hasn't been used since 2006. So we'll be sure to keep you updated on whether Governor Josh Stein signs this bill, vetoes it, or lets it become law without his signature. We'll also have a crew on the ground in Concord to keep you updated on Vance's visit. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
And WRAL's Monica Casey will be in Concord for the vice president's speech. We'll have live coverage of his visit in our evening newscasts starting at 4 p.m. Cumberland County deputies are investigating a potential threat of mass violence toward a high school in Hope Mills. The sheriff's office says the threat was circulating on social media last night, targeting Grays Creek High School. They say their detectives are working with school administrators to investigate. They're asking anyone with information about this potential threat to call the sheriff's office. This week marks 1 year since the landfall of Hurricane Helene across the state. Leaders of the state's recovery efforts in western North Carolina go before lawmakers in Raleigh today. Members of the governor's recovery office for western North Carolina plan to give legislators a breakdown of Helene recovery funding and efforts to get more. The state has requested federal funds that would cover almost half of the estimated $60 billion in damage caused in the storm. Less than 10% of that money has been awarded or received. That's despite months of public pressure on federal officials to release the money. Stein traveled to Washington this month to request $13.5 billion in additional funding from Congress. A new breakdown of that request is expected this morning. For updates on the hearing, go to WRAL.com. Jimmy Kimmel has his late night show back. He used his return last night to defend free speech. Last night's episode marked Kimmel's first time back on air after a nearly week-long suspension. ABC's parent company Disney suspended Kimmel after he made comments in his show about Charlie Kirk's accused killer. He addressed his return in his monologue last night.
I don't think the murderer who shot Charlie Kirk represents anyone. This was a sick person who believed violence was a solution, and it isn't. Ever.
Disney says it lifted Kimmel's suspension after a, quote, thoughtful conversation. In a post on Truth Social, President Trump wrote, "I can't believe ABC fake news gave Jimmy Kimmel his job back. Why would they want someone back who puts the network in jeopardy?" The president also added, quote, "We're going to test ABC out on this." Today in Wake County, the grand opening for a brand new biopharmaceutical facility in Holly Springs. The 160,000-acre Fujifilm facility is considered the largest cell culture biopharmaceutical facility in our state. Johnson & Johnson plans to invest $2 billion over 10 years at the site. Holly Springs Mayor Sean Majewski said this is a big development for the town.
Your councils, your mayors along the way all stayed the course, and they all believed in that ultimate dream of creating that life science environment that they would get, folks like the Fujis of the world. That's been our dream. We're excited to see those things come to fruition.
The ribbon cutting will be at 8:30 this morning. A North Carolina man is accusing a state trooper of punching him in the face and arresting him after he had a seizure. According to the lawsuit, Thomas Simmons crashed after having a seizure back in May near Greenville. When Sergeant Ashley Smith reached in to pull Simmons out of his car, Simmons pulled away. That's when the trooper allegedly said, quote, "I'm going to hurt you, man." These 3 pictures included in the suit show Smith then punching Simmons before dragging him across the ground. The trooper also accused him of being on meth. The DA's office later dropped charges against Simmons of assaulting Trooper Smith. This morning, state lawmakers are leaving Raleigh without a deal to avoid cuts to Medicaid that could start next week. North Carolina health officials say if they don't get more funding before October 1st, they'll have to cut Medicaid reimbursement rates. The state Senate passed a plan to fund the program Monday. Last night, the state House passed a different plan, meaning lawmakers are not on the same page. Governor Stein released a statement accusing legislative leaders of putting politics over people. A bill prompted by the killing of Charlie Kirk to crack down on politically motivated violence now heads to the state Senate. The state House passed it last night. This bill would make politically motivated murders automatically eligible for the death penalty. It would also create longer prison sentences for arson, assault, or other crimes committed for political reasons. You can read more on this story and the other bills approved in the NC Capitol section of WRAL.com. Police say a man who was hit and killed by a train in Durham was wearing headphones at the time. It happened just after 5:30 p.m. as an Amtrak train was pulling into the train station. Police say the man was walking toward the train tracks near the intersection of Swift Avenue and West Pettigrew. Officers say the engineer blew the horn to alert the man, but he didn't hear it because of his headphones. Some passengers were escorted off the train while police investigated.
I didn't really feel anything either, so I was kind of confused with why we stopped. I thought maybe it was like a mechanical issue, but then I heard it was an accident.
Streets were shut down for hours while officers investigated. This is at least the fourth train crash in Durham WRAL has covered so far this year. The city of Rocky Mount faces serious money trouble and may have to cut some jobs. A report found the city spent millions more than it had on a monthly basis for 2 years. People in the city face higher utility bills now. The city plans to cut half of its part-time workers and at least 10% of full-time employees. Happening today, students and staff at NC State will get an emergency message from Wolf Alert, but it is only a test. The university will conduct a campus-wide drill. It will last about 15 minutes. If there is a real emergency, the drill will be postponed. UNC lawsuit. A former provost is suing the university for violating open meetings and public record laws. How the hiring of Bill Belichick played a role. And a new Helene Memorial, how a Western North Carolina community is remembering lives lost almost a year later. Let's give you a live look at Fenton and Cary. Ahead, meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner will be tracking the storms that we could see later this week.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
444, taking a live look at what's happening outside. We have the top of the tower lit in blue for clear skies this morning. It's a nice start out there, but it definitely feels like summer. We still, kind of had a comfortable start yesterday, but it's a lot warmer this morning and a lot muggier too. 72 in Durham, 70 in Garner, 70 in Cary, 69 in Rocky Mount. And these temperatures, for the most part, except for Roxborough, really feel like what we see in July or August. At the bus stop this morning, temperatures will be in the mid to upper 60s to around 70. By lunchtime, it's already 87. We'll climb to 93 for the high this afternoon. Today stays dry, but tomorrow we move into our wetter pattern, and that's going to bring us some much needed rain. It'll also help to drop our temperature. So maybe today or tomorrow will be the last 90-degree day of the year, but no promises.
Elizabeth, thanks. The hiring of Bill Belichick is part of an open records lawsuit filed by a former UNC Chapel Hill provost. It alleges the Board of Trustees violated open meetings and public record laws multiple times in the past year. WRAL's Monica Casey shows us what's in this lawsuit.
A lawsuit filed by UNC Chapel Hill former provost Chris Clemens says the Board of Trustees is engaging in a pattern of hiding matters of public importance behind closed doors.
And I move that the board convene in closed session.
This was the moment the Board of Trustees entered their closed session in March. It's what was said in that closed meeting that's at the center of former provost Chris Clemens' lawsuit. The discussion was about individual tenure appointments, which is allowed, but Clemens claims the group then began discussing tenure as a policy.
That is, in fact, how this closed session played out. That would go outside the bounds of the reason for having the closed session.
Director of North Carolina's Open Government Coalition, Pate McMichael, tells me a violation of closed session is a major problem.
They do have a right to go into closed session, but the statute is pretty clear about the process.
This isn't the first time that board has faced scrutiny. Last year, they had to settle another lawsuit.
The board is committed to compliance with the North Carolina Open Meetings Act and will continue to meet in closed session only for the purpose enumerated in state law.
Clemens' suit identifies other meetings he claims violated open meeting laws, pointing to past discussions about UNC athletics, including the contract for Bill Belichick. Clemens tells me he will not be commenting beyond the lawsuit. UNC says they are reviewing the litigation but will not comment while it is pending. Reporting in Chapel Hill, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
That lawsuit also says the trustees were communicating with the Signal app, where messages disappear after being read. The suit says that is a violation of public records law. The IRS is making a big change. It will stop sending out paper tax refund checks for individual taxpayers. The change starts September 30th. This comes after an executive order mandating that all federal payments be transitioned to electronic methods. Officials say the change will protect taxpayers and expedite the refund process. The IRS says this year, 93% of refunds were delivered by direct deposit. As the first anniversary of Hurricane Helene draws closer in western North Carolina, one community is remembering those lost in the storm. One way they are doing this through a wishing wall at a fire and rescue station in Swannanoa. The wishing wall is covered in messages of unity. It was built by a group of local artists called Swanatopia. It asks people to leave their remembrances, reflections, and good wishes for the future.
We have to make sure we don't forget that day, and just to make sure that we keep the memory of those folks that lost their lives that day. Keep that memory in our minds.
The wishing wall is just one event happening ahead of the one-year milestone. People say they are looking back not only to remember, but to continue healing. WRAL's documentary unit will be exploring these issues in a brand new documentary. It's called Helene, What We Lost, What We Found, sponsored by the Triangle Community Foundation. You can watch the documentary tomorrow at 7 p.m. on WRAL and stream on WRAL.com, the WRAL News app, and our YouTube channel. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is tracking our very warm temperatures. Elizabeth, summer just won't quit on us here.
You know, summer was not here in August. We only had one day with highs in the 90s. And I think summer said, oh, wait just a second. And that's what we're seeing. So 90s yesterday, today, and tomorrow. 93 for today, 91 tomorrow. A little bit cooler tomorrow because we'll see the clouds that roll in and we'll have a better chance for some rain. Friday's going to be a fairly wet day. I mean, it may rain for most of the day on Friday. We're going to walk you through that coming up in just a little bit. But it's dry and clear this morning for the most part. I would watch out, especially in our southeastern counties, for some fog and low cloud cover to develop. Not seeing that yet, but when we do, I'll let you know. 72 is our current temperature with a dew point of 68. It does feel different than it did yesterday. It's warmer and it's more muggy this morning than it was yesterday morning. 61 in Roxborough, that's our cool spot, but 72 in Durham, 71 in Clinton, 72 in Southern Pines. Feels very summer-like out there. 70 in Garner, 70 in Cary, 70 in Knightdale, 68 in Holly Springs. So again, we'll hit 93 today in Raleigh, 92 Durham, 95 in Fayetteville. So it's going to be a hot one. The latest 90-degree day was October 10th. And so we still, are not setting any records really here, but it's hot for sure. Our normal high is 80. So 13 degrees above normal for today, well above normal Thursday. And then we drop back to normal Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with the addition of some rain. Of course, our muggy meter definitely going up too. It's going to feel sticky for us with that moisture. Some of this moisture is going to come out of the tropics. I'm watching two systems down to the south that may help to feed extra moisture in over the weekend. So we're going to talk more about that coming up. A look at rainfall for tomorrow during the day is 40%, 70% chance on Friday. And we do have a level 1 risk for Thursday and Friday already and the chance of some flooding. So we're going to change the pattern dramatically starting tomorrow. Coming up, I'll show you how much rain we could see as we head into the weekend coming up.
Elizabeth, thanks. A landmark gift, $1 million donation to historically black colleges and universities. The philanthropist who gave the gift, actually a lot more than just $1 million. Plus, the original Spider-Man returns, when you can catch that film in theaters. Philanthropist Mackenzie Scott is giving a landmark gift to HBCUs. Scott is giving, get this, $70 million to the United Negro College Fund. $70 million. That will benefit 37 HBCUs, including Shaw University and St. Augustine's University, both here in Raleigh. The gift is one of Scott's largest single donations ever. Christian Bale plays an iconic movie monster, and Spider-Man makes a return. Rick Damigella has more in today's Hollywood Minute.
There's nothing left to do now but live.
Christian Bale's Frankenstein turn. The actor portrays the legendary monster in the new film The Bride. Maggie Gyllenhaal directs the latest take on Mary Shelley's creature, which sees Jesse Buckley playing his titular companion. The Bride will scare audiences in 2026.
You think if you try hard enough, you can stop bad things from happening, but you can't.
Beware of the new nanny. One family learns that the hard way in The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. This is your first look at the action-packed remake of the 1992 thriller, which lands on Hulu on October 22nd.
Who am I? I'm Spider-Man.
The original Spider-Man trilogy returns to the big screen. The series of web-slinging films starring Tobey Maguire will be back in theaters thanks to Fathom Entertainment. Fans can relive the excitement during the weekends of September 26th and October 3rd. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
I did like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. The town of Carrboro is honoring police officers for their heroism during the flooding from Chantal. The town says only 4 officers were on patrol the night of the storm. Nearly 20 off-duty officers stepped in to help during the emergency. The officers closed roads, rescued people from their flooded homes, and got them to shelters. Ahead at 5, we are staying on top of an early morning crash that left traffic lights out. Here's a live look at the scene on New Hope Road and Skycrest Drive in Raleigh. What police tell us about the people hurt. And Vice President J.D. Vance is visiting our state today. What he's expected to discuss.